Welcome to Twin Talk Politics.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Twin Talk Politics, where today we are so honored to be joined by MP Dhaliwal, who is a Member of Parliament for Surrey Newton. And we're so excited to talk to him about so many cool issues. But first, how are you doing today, MP Dhaliwal?
Good. Thank you, both Jason and Jerry. I want to thank you as well, because this is an inspiration to me, because we always try to get the youth involved. But when people like yourself take a lead, it gives me an inspiration to go a step further to help people.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you. So our first question, as you probably know, if you looked at any of our content we've ever published, likes to start off by just really testing how good your luck is. So, MP Dhaliwal, we are wondering if you could take a wild guess at who do you think is Jerry and who do you think is Jason based on our different color backgrounds?
If I look at it this way, I'll say that you are Jerry and Jason is the other one down on the screen.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually right. That's pretty impressive. You actually got that one right. Not a lot of people get that right, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah.
I tell you what, I remember when my daughter went for an interview for her residency in St. Louis Children. The director at that time, he had his school picture, when he was young. And now all of a sudden he's probably into his 60s or 70s. So then he asked her, "Can you see who am I?" So she was able to pick that up, and he was very impressed. But I'm lucky, actually, lucky to guess that this is the way it is.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Now that you know how to tell us apart, let's just jump straight into the interview. So
Sure.
The first question we have for you today is we were just wondering if you could briefly introduce yourself, maybe some of your passions that you like to do outside of politics, and how you really got interested and engaged and involved in politics in the first place.
Very good question. First of all, as you mentioned already, my name is Sukh Dhaliwal, Member of Parliament for Surrey Newton. Long before I got into politics, my goal always been to study and be professional, establish myself. To do that, I have degrees in civil engineering, degree in geomatics engineering, postgrad diploma in energy management and utilization. I'm a professional engineer with the association. I'm a fellow engineer with the Engineers Canada.
Wow.
And I'm also a BC land surveyor. So it's very rare combination that people have. A small business person here in Surrey Newton. This is where I raised my family. I have, between Ronnie, my wife, and myself, we have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son. The elder daughter is a neonatologist, who did her residency in pediatrics from St. Louis Children, and now after doing the fellowship at University BC, she's serving in British Columbia now as a neonatologist. My middle child, younger daughter, is a family physician. She have a practice here in Surrey, and the youngest one is still going to university. He want to become a teacher than a professor.
Wow.
So this is my family. How I got involved in politics was in 1990. I graduated with my 3rd degree from University of Calgary. At that time, there was a leadership race between John Chrétien and Paul Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, it was the Paul Martin team that brought me into the political arena, right?
Yeah.
So I helped Paul. At that time, Paul was not successful, but Mr. Martin eventually became the leader of the Liberal Party and became the Prime Minister. So then, when I was involved in the community a lot, like being a civil engineer, land surveyor. I was helping a lot of people, and a lot of people came to me because they were looking for a representation, right?
Yeah.
That can represent them well. So they basically came to me and I ran. And eventually, I ran the biggest nomination in Canadian history for any party, for
Wow.
any candidate. And we were able to win, our team was able to win 2-1 over the next candidate. And
Wow, that's insane.
then first time I ran, 2004, I was 400 votes short in the riding. That was never Liberal since 1949.
Oh,
In
wow.
2006, when Liberal Party went from in power to opposition, the people elected me, right? And this is my fifth term. I'm
Yeah.
serving as a member of Parliament fifth term. Even there was another nomination fight I had to run in 2014. Randeep and myself, Randeep Sarai and myself, we faced each other, right? At that time, I beat my own record of the earliest nomination, the biggest nomination again, still to date in Canadian history for any
Yeah.
candidate, any political party. So
Wow.
I was able to win 2-1 over there as well. So I'm very passionate about serving the
Yeah.
Canadian. I wanted to make sure that I'm able to be a good in people's lives, and people have given me a privilege, and they love me. They
Yeah.
still support me, and I'm very indebted to the people, that were there in the beginning, and the people that are still there with me.
Yeah, wow, that's
Wow.
really, really inspirational. And seeing how successful you were in politics, it's just really, really amazing hearing it from yourself. So congratulations on winning 5 times in a row and by winning by such huge, huge margins. So congratulations.
Thank
Um,
you very much.
yeah, our second question comes in two parts, and it's more surrounding youth in politics. So firstly, we're wondering, in your opinion, what do you think are the biggest problems for youth in Canada as a whole? And then secondly, what do you think are the biggest problems for youth in your own constituency of Surrey Newton?
I mean, right now, the way I look at it, whether it's Surrey, Newton, or I look at Canada, right?
Yeah,
Immigration was Canada's need, for sure. Because if we look at this, we have a negative, birth rate, right? The job growth market we can't sustain without immigrants, so we have to have a sustainable immigration. Immigration file is probably the toughest file on a local level and also on a international or national scene right now. The second issue that's coming up right now is the affordability,
yeah.
and third is the public safety. So these are the issues that are facing in the riding, as well as when I travel across Canada.
Mhm.
That is what I'm noticing right now.
Yeah, we completely agree with all those issues. And in regards to that, what strategies, motions, or bills do you think Canada should adopt to really tackle and fix some of the issues you just mentioned?
Yeah, let me start backward now. The first thing first, remember the way I said, the public safety and foreign interference is a key right now, right?
Sure.
Which has been dominating committee work, political agenda, and particularly in my riding. I'm sure you heard Mr. Nijjar was assassinated.
Yeah,
Where there is Prime Minister has clearly said in the Parliament that there's enough evidence that the foreign agents were involved in that killing, right? To keep in mind, so we need to make sure that we have the tools, necessary for our CSIS, the intelligence agency, and our law enforcement agency to deal with situations like that. And taking that into consideration, when Mr. Nijjar was assassinated, I was the one that sponsored the petition. There is an inquiry already going on. Then there was a debate in the House where all parties could come and participate. And in fact, every other party did, except the Conservatives only put one speaker, and they didn't want to touch this subject. And then then I brought in a private member's motion, right, M112, to make sure that I'm able to ask the government to do everything possible to make sure the Canadians are safe from foreign interference, whether it's intimidation, violence, or threats of any kind. So motion M112 was private member's motion, and it was supported by all parties. The people that were present to vote, everybody voted in favor, and I was very happy that I had a support from across the aisle. And then government brought Bill C-70, right, which addresses the concerns that I raised in that Bill M112. So Bill C-70, the Liberal Minister Dominic LeBlanc brought it forward to make sure that we are able to revise the Act, CSIS Act. CSIS was bound by the Act of 1984. For the last 40 years, it was never revamped. So we wanted to make sure that we are able to update that. We are able to update the laws that the criminals that are trying to create either chaos or in Canada. Our CISA agency or RCMP can do their part to stop that, and if the people are there, and they should be punished accordingly. So that is one on that particular issue. You have any questions on that issue before I get to the next one?
So as you're talking about foreign interference, I think that's like a topic that we know you spent a lot of time on, and we're super curious about. Because another aspect of your work that we've been really inspired is your work towards protecting and bettering our country in sort of all forms and shape. Whether it be your work encouraging multiculturalism through the Standing Committee on Citizenship or Immigration, or as you're just talking about your private members motion of motion 112, and as you're sort of speaking about there, the goal and the purpose of this motion was to really hold to account and bar any person or agent of a foreign state undermining our democratic institutions, engaging in acts of violence, or intimidating diaspora communities in Canada. And I think this was always, as you sort of stated before, sort of always a really big issue for all Canadians. But this problem has really become in the spotlight of so many Canadians after the unfortunate and really sad death of Mr. Hardeep Singh Nijjar. So our question for you is, we were sort of wondering if you could explain a little bit more on the specifics of this motion and what this motion would mean for Canada's relationships with other countries that they currently have.
The first and foremost priority for me is Canada's sovereignty and Canadians' safety and security. Sure. The way I said, Jason, is it is very, very, I was very, very clear that this political or foreign interference is not coming from just one nation. No? Mm-hmm. It's coming from many nations, whether it's coming from India, China, Russia, Iran, or other nations. We got to make sure that we are able to put a stop to it, right? Because we are a very diverse country. People from all over the world has come here to Canada, and we are living in peace and harmony. Yeah. Now the foreign governments, when they come in, they try to either intimidate or use violence against the diaspora that has come from other countries. That is not acceptable. Yeah. They are Canadians. Every Canadian matters, and every Canadian life matters. To make sure that my main focus was that we are able to do whatever we need to. This is what I said. My motion was to ask the government, right, to do everything in their power. And to do that, the first thing first was that they brought in this Bill C-70, basically, which modernized the CSIS Act, which provided them more powers so they can communicate at different orders of government. Then the laws that people who try to create those issues here in Canada or for Canadian, they should be punished. So those are already been addressed, and Bill C-70 already got a royal assent. I think in June 30th or June, somewhere around June.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that completely answers my question. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Jerry, so that we move to the affordability now, right?
Yeah.
Affordability was becoming an issue, right? Housing, for example, our government has brought in a landmark, investments in in housing, right? Whether it's private developers or builders, whether it is the non-profit organization that will be able to build affordable housing, we will provide them, the money, whether it's indigenous people. And we have also supported the municipalities as well, putting $4 billion funds, if they escalation fund. So if they want to use that funds to make sure that the permit process is faster, right? So we did that. The other thing is, a lot of people can't afford dental care, right?
Yeah.
We brought in a dental plan, which is going to help many young people and seniors that could not go and see the dentist. And then we brought in a pharmacare. If you look around, and I know in my constituency, there's communities that are facing challenges with diabetes, and they were not covered for the diabetes medicine. Young girls, women could not afford contraceptives, right? And so women's health. So whether it's women's health, whether it's so we brought in a pharmacare solution to those. Canada Child Benefit. If you look at this, the families that needs the most, they are given $600, up to $600 per month in non-taxable Canada Child Benefit. So as their children can go to the early learning, right, and government can be a force of good in their lives. $10 a daycare, right? We signed agreements with the different provinces to make sure that $10 a daycare is. So BC was the first province to sign. It is also to empower women. So now women do not have to worry about where they should leave their children, and it helps the productivity as well. There's some of those examples. Seniors, we have raised their OS if they're 75 and above. So those are the type of things that, some of the things that we have brought forward. GST credit on groceries. That comes in an immigration file, which is a very, very tough file. It's not an easy file for a minister and any government to handle, right? Because you cannot make everybody happy. We need immigrants. Without immigrants, we can't sustain our economy, right? To sustain economy, we need workers, right? To deal with that, we need to bring in people from all over the world, and then students as well. And certainly, where the provinces did not do their job, where they issued unlimited amount of work permits. Like federal government job, our job was to make sure that they have the student have an admission in the institution. They have the IELTS score, and they have those $10,000 bond in those days, but now 20. So then we were providing visa, but it was some of the schools or universities, and that made it worse, where manipulation of students came in. So then federal government has to get in to make sure that we are able to put a cap on that. And what we did is we put 35% cap. Not only put 35% cap on the students, but we also gave number of spots to different provinces. Before, what was happening, everyone was landing either in Lower Mainland or Greater Toronto area, so which was causing a lot of burden in these. Now the students will be able to go to different provinces where we need them the most. So that is the role we played. The other issue that we were dealing with is LMIA. I'm sure you probably heard that was labor market assessment.
Yeah.
Employers make it and then they hire foreign workers, and we are going to cut that down by 20% as well. So basically, on immigration file every day, there are different things that we are trying to do. Parents and grandparents, that is very, very important to us, like, or people who have come here, they want to make sure their families are able to join them. Before, in the previous governments, if we look at this, that was taking up to 7-8 years, and now they're coming in 2 to 3 years. Spouse is coming in a year, but where it was taking 3 to 4 years. So, and certainly there are still things to fix, and I'm certain that the minister is working diligently to bring in changes every day or so often to deal with those situations. So those are some of the issues that I discussed, but I certainly would encourage young people, right? They have to come out. They have to come out and vote, because voting is a privilege. Before 1947, people of the South Asian region were not allowed to vote in Canada. Women were not allowed to vote in Canada, right? They fought for that right, but now that right and the privilege that we got to make sure that everyone should execute that as well, because which is very important. If you want to get your voices heard, I suggest that people should go out and vote. And earlier we had a discussion as well. I think, if we need to lower the age for young students to get involved, there is also appetite for that as well. And I encourage more people, young people, to get involved, like you are involved, right?
Yeah.
To come forward, ask tough questions to the elected representatives, and get involved. Do volunteer work, for some of, whether it's an MLA or council and the mayor or the MP or different organizations, and make sure that you keep an eye. And you, if one day, we need those young people, that because right now it's very hard to find talent, the people who are really passionate about politics, and that's what we need. And we need young people. And I want to thank both of you, Jerry and Jason, for taking this leadership and initiative and putting me on your podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. Just talking a little bit about what you just spoke about, specifically the voting age of Canada. What are your thoughts on if we lower it? I know you talked a little bit about it before, but do you think if we lower the voting age to 16, it will gain more youth not only vote, but be more in tune and actually be more committed and learn more about politics in general, and also just contribute more to our political discussion?
No, excellent question, Jerry. Like, if the primary, like when people go for nomination, Liberal Party has opened up. The reason we opened up, there's no fees to join Liberal Party.
Yeah.
Anyone that is the age of 14 and above who is a Canadian resident can join the party and can have that say who the candidate will be that will be representing them for the Liberal Party in their constituency. And I personally think, like, today's age, people at 16 are very well aware.
Yeah.
Instead of 18, I'm certainly a supporter of bringing the age to 16. So, we can get them started when they're in school early enough to get involved. And then the other thing is making it accessible, right? Easy for people, like, should be able to vote in schools or university. I remember in one election, the provincial election, you were able to vote anywhere. It does not matter where you live, but you can vote, where you are in BC. So, but your vote will be counted in the constituency that you live in. And this is the type of, I think we have to revive everything, whether it's the voting age, how we vote, how we, provide resources for people to come and make sure that the voting stations are accessible and manageable.
Yeah, for sure. Jason and I are also big proponents and big supporters of lowering the voting age down to 16, and hearing someone who is an MP really gives us a lot of support that we can actually one day make this not only a dream, but also turn it into a reality. So thank you for that. another thing that we're super passionate about, and we know you are also really passionate about, is celebrating culture and heritage, specifically Sikh heritage. We are actually immigrants ourselves, so we know the firsthand importance of celebrating culture, diversity, and this is really what makes Canada so special and such an amazing multicultural country. And in fact, with close to 1 million Sikh individuals living in Canada right now, it's more important than ever to recognize this beautiful culture and recognize all their amazing contributions to our country's past and present. Specifically, we want to talk a little bit more about your bill C376, an act to designate the month of April as Sikh Heritage Month, which received royal assent and was successfully passed into law in 2019. In fact, Canada, for all the viewers at home who don't know this, Canada is one of the first countries in the world to pass this amazing piece of legislation.
Yeah.
So it's very inspiring. So we were just wondering, what was your motivation to kind of push and pass this bill? And after it was passed, how has it changed Sikh culture, especially for youth in Canada?
Thank you very much. This is again an excellent question. What motivated me is the ancestors. Like the Sikh community came to Canada. The first Sikh came to BC was 1897. So no, it's great. I mean, if you look at history, the first Sikh came to Canada in 1897. Right? They built the railway lines here, right? They were instrumental in building the infrastructure for this country. The Sikhs fought, side with the Canadians in First World War, Second World War, and now you go to every single field. Sikh Canadians, they been part and parcel of Canada. Everywhere you go, they provide services now to Canadians. So when I look at the ancestors, how they came in, the discrimination that they faced in those days, right? The laws that were not allowing them to bring in their wives or right for them to vote here, all those things, like how hard they work to blaze trails for us.
Yeah.
That people like me
That's inspiring. Yeah.
are sitting in the parliament now, in the same parliament that were making discriminatory laws.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So that inspired me to make sure that our young people, you talked about how it shaped, because now this year we celebrated the 5-year passing of that bill.
Yeah.
Basically my focus was to acknowledge the work that Sikh Canadians have done and to inspire the young people so they are able to make sure that they are able to carry that legacy for centuries to come. And this is why I brought in this bill C376. And I know I had a lot of pressure to bring it as a motion, but I said, no, I'm going to bring it as a bill, so it becomes a law.
Wow.
Right? And Canada not only was the first, but is the only country in the world that has enshrined April as a Sikh Heritage Month in Canadian law. This is in the law. This is a law, right? And I'm very happy that I have seen people from SFU, a lot of Sikh young Canadians, are doing those celebration every year. Not only doing celebration, but there are programs that the government is encouraging, whether making movies on the history of Sikhs or how to encourage further involvement of young people. So this will stay for centuries to come. So this was not only token recognition, but it was a real law in Canada. Because governments will come and go. I will probably will not be there one day, but I can tell you, because April is in Canada is a month, Heritage Month for a Sikh community. This will stay there for centuries to come, and many young people like you, will certainly uh, get inspired by the legislation that I brought in, because I'm a proud Canadian, but I'm also proud that I was born in Sikh religion, right? And I always, even though I'm not a baptized, practicing Sikh, but I was born in the Sikh religion, and I still believe in the religion because faith, I personally feel is important, because from faith comes hope. From hope, everything becomes possible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so thank you again for fighting for this such an amazing bill and being a great young model for Sikhs across Canada and just for young people across Canada as well. So thank you for that. Another aspect aside from your political career is that we've been so inspired by your own personal life a little bit, just like you talked about before. We know even before becoming an incredible politician and MP and being a great representative for Canada, we know you were actually, as you said earlier, an amazing professional engineer, a very successful businessman, and even co-founding a very successful land surveying company, which played a very crucial and critical role in the municipal politics of Surrey. So it's very clear to us that you're quite the jack of all trades. So our question for you is sort of, how have these experiences affected or shaped your political career? And are there any skills that you sort of accumulated from these different sectors and careers that you still use day to day as a politician?
Certainly. No, what does professional engineer duty is? What is the land survey duty is to serve the land, to serve the Canadians, right? Irrespective whether they pay us or not. Like, land surveyor does not work for even though one particular client pays you, but the land surveyors work for the land, make sure that wherever there's boundaries are established or whatever is built, it is built according to acts, bylaws, and fairly, right? And same with the elected representative. We are there to provide service and to Canadians, whether they support us or not. This is the beauty. In my office, it used to be that it does not matter where you live or who you voted for. You come to our office, and we will equally entertain them, and we'll make sure that we service. And I still tell you that our office is the has the highest volume, right, when it comes to helping people. So basically, both, whether it's professional engineer, land surveyor, small business, and being a member of parliament, it's serving people, it's serving Canadians, and that's what my passion always been. And in fact, that inspired me, because that gave me the background. Even like when you get into politics, you got to make sure that at some point in time, we can leave political arena, right? I should be able to go back and land somewhere. So I'm not in politics, for a job. I'm in this for passion, because I have my profession that I can that I'm very proud of. Being a land surveyor, being a professional engineer, I'm very, very proud of my professional background. So anytime I can go back and land there and continue to serve people, but in a different capacity.
Yeah, wow, that was super, super cool. Before we move on to our last fun question, we were just wondering if you could give a quick piece of advice for all young Canadians right now. What would that piece of advice be?
Thank you. First of all, they should follow your footsteps. We need more leaders like Jason and Jerry. They should come forward, and they should explore. They should go ask questions to their elected representative at all orders of government. And then secondly, they should volunteer, right? And I remember in 2015, I had more than 500 young volunteers that came to sign up for me. It was hard for me to find drivers for them to take them around, but there was a big push from the young people that helped me to get elected, because they were the ones who were going door to door, do all the volunteer work there. So they should get involved in the volunteer work, and then also keep an eye at one day, when they gonna, you know, come to the age of voting, 18 years of age, they should make sure that they execute that right to vote, and then take an opportunity to run as well, right?
Yeah.
Because we need more young leaders that can shape the future of our nation. And I would always encourage, and I'm always open that people want to volunteer with me, welcome to.
Okay, great. Yeah, that was really, really cool. And for our last and final fun question, we know all of the amazing holidays of the Sikh culture and religion, but whether it be Vaisakhi, Diwali, Gurpurab, among many, many others, and this may be the hardest question of the entire podcast, but if you had to only choose one, which one would you say is your favorite Sikh holiday and why?
Bisaki, of course, you know, you asked me, it's very hard to pick up one.
I know.
Yeah.
But Bisaki, the way I said it is you know, in this year, in this month, sorry, the Bisaki is celebrated as birth of Khalsa, right?
Yeah.
Where you know the Sikh religion was born, you know, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji came in, the first Guru, and the 10th Guru created Khalsa. You know, they gave an identity, and not only gave an identity, in fact, they gave them the powers, right, to 5 people, right? That you know, those Sikhs, the people. So that is the key. That you know, the equality, and that is what it is. And so, I mean, you know that the biggest Sikh parade outside of India is always held in my constituency of Surrey Newton, where people from all walks of life do come in and celebrate Baisakhi and birth of Khalsa.
Yeah.
You know, because this is the month that the Sikhs were baptized, right, by Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Identity was given to them, right, by giving them the 5 Ks. And this is why I picked up this April to be the Sikh Heritage Month as well, right?
Cool. Yeah, that's such a cool tradition, and thank you for sharing that. All right, I think that concludes our interview today. Again, Jerry and I would like to extend such a huge big thank you to MP Dhaliwal and his phenomenal team for this amazing opportunity. Specifically MP Dhaliwal for taking the time out of his very insanely busy schedule to meet with us today. We truly appreciate it. Throughout the course of the conversation, Jerry and I learned so much. We're so inspired by all the work you've done. So thank you truly from the bottom of our hearts. For the listeners and viewers at home, if you guys wish to see more interviews like this, be sure to tune into future episodes. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you guys next time.